Hello and welcome to my first episode of How to Build an Epic City for Grand Ages Rome. We're building on Syracuse today. I'd like to start off by saying for all my episodes, none of my cities will be finished. Um, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but it seems like when I build to a certain size, my city just crashes to desktop no matter what I do. I'm running a pretty decent system, Core i7, GTX 295 card, as well as 6 gigs at 1600, but I think I just need more RAM. But aside from that, you'll still be able to see the major ideas and the major things that I do that I notice a lot of other people just aren't doing. Let's start off by first discussing that when you build a city, you want to have some pre-planning. What I mean by that is, rich Romans would not preferably live by poor ones or slaves. So you want to go ahead and have an industrial center. So let's take a look at that. As you can see, this is my major poor, the ghetto over here. This is my the industry neighborhood. I've got my water mills over here, my logging mills. I've got my brick makers, all that good stuff that all the poor people would do. Farms, all that. There are a few other places where you'll see some yellow houses like there and there, but those are for places like schools and only things plebs can run. But overall, I very much try to avoid putting poor people in the same neighborhood as the rich, very much like we have in our own society today. Another thing that I do before I really get started even building a city is I try to map out a large portion of my roads. Not all my roads are done, as you can see, but I do like to have them mapped out as much as possible so I can start building around the roads, not the roads building around the city. The reason I say that is if you do that, you're going to end up with a lot of straight roads. And although straight it looks okay, it looks a lot cooler and a lot more realistic when you have curves and things like that. You'll get really neat views down the road, like stuff like this. When you walk down a road, you'll get cool little views like that. So you get some really awesome stuff when you have curves that go around your roads and things of that nature. So again, you want to curve your roads because roads curve in real life. Another thing that I do, one of the most impressive things I like to think of, is I tend to build up. And I've noticed that all the cities I've looked at, no one really does this. You want to try to build up onto your mountains on your level. The reason I say that is look at the awesome, beautiful view you're going to get when you build up. See, I've got a religious hill, and then I've got an actual government hill. But still, the point is, I've built up. And when you go down even farther, you get to see that really the Pantheon, Temple of Mars, all that good stuff. So again, building up really makes your city look a million times better. And a lot more realistic, because if you look at many ancient cities, including the city of Rome itself, it was built on 7 hills. Another thing that I've done, that I try to do, especially on Syracuse, it was very easy to do here because of the very open area building of Syracuse. And I must say, if you're beginning, I suggest starting on Syracuse. It's the easiest building area. It's basically just one big open square. I've built a very large area even leading up to the Forum. Basically, the logic being that Romans, when they won a victory, would have a triumph walk. So they'd walk up a main road to the Forum. So I've even put the main victory column there. So as a Roman walked to the actual Forum, he'd be able to see the hills on his right, the huge hills. He'd be able to see the Senate. So if you're standing there, you get to see these nice, beautiful shots of your hills. Another thing that I tend to do, definitely again on Syracuse, not on all my cities because I just didn't have the space for some of them, is on this one I'm building a central park area. I had done this on a previous Syracuse before it was erased, where I actually was able to encapsulate it. But what I'm doing here, let me pull out, is eventually I have the road go all the way to here and then square off all the way to here. So you have this huge area in here that will have nothing built, and they'll have a road going around it, of course lined by trees as well, really giving it a very closed-in park area feel. And then I'll build things around it to encapsulate the park. And again, that will give it a really cool look there of being like a central park area within the city. Another thing that I do, you'll notice there's no lighthouse on this level yet. The reason being is, again, on my previous Syracuse, I had put the lighthouse here. I suggest everyone do that. It only makes sense simply because in a situation where you have a double harbor like this, you're going to need the lighthouse to be in a place where someone coming from this side of the harbor can see the lighthouse, and someone coming from this side of the harbor can see the lighthouse. I put my Circus Maximus right on the center peninsula of this island, with the logic being that everyone from both sides of the city would be able to come here. And I basically created an entertainment district. Up one more time. You notice how we can, of course, again, another cool view, we can still see our hills. This is what I was talking about. When you have these hills, it looks awesome. They're viewable from everywhere. But I've also created an entertainment district and a double highway. But the thought being that this would be the main area of the town. You'd have people going to the Circus Maximus. They'd go out for some food. They'd walk here. They could take a right, go to the park, hit the theater, and if they want to, they can continue all the way up to go to the Coliseum. Let's take a look at the hill again, so you can see from every angle. You always get awesome views with that hill. See what I'm talking about? So again, that's just some of the things I do. Oh, one more thing that's very important is you want to put lots of trees. Lots and lots of trees, especially on your hills. The reason you put lots of trees on the hill is because when you do that, it gives you different planes. As you'll notice, I have all these trees right here, and it gives the appearance of pushing the hill back further into the background, which again makes your city look bigger and really gives you a better cityscape, a skyline, as we're looking at right here when we look upon that hill. It just looks more realistic. So again, you want to add lots of trees, as I've done here. I put trees almost everywhere. Anywhere I could fit some form of beautification, I've more or less put it. So this way it pushes everything back. Here's a view from the top of the hill. If you are working at the Senate building as a rich person, you'd be able to see down into the Forum, the Circus Maximus, pretty much everything. And of course, you'd even be able to see the other hill and the sun rising above the Temple of Mars. Let's go over to our religious hill here. Here's our religious center. If we are standing at the Pantheon, you've got a really, really awesome view, again, of the city. You can see your Forum, your Victory Column, some of the temples down there. You can see the Coliseum all the way down there. And in the background, as you see here, we've got the Circus Maximus. So again, building up on hills, putting in lots of road systems. The road systems pretty much only work if you have Rise of Augustus. Take another look from here, if you're standing here. Take a look at that. Very, very nice view. Very nice. But yeah, you have to have the Rise of Augustus to have the road systems as you see here, because they add roads, and they also add the Senate building and a few other new buildings. I hope this has given you some ideas. Again, central parks, building up to give yourself beautiful cityscape, huge Forum areas for your city to have its triumphal march, entertainment areas, and the biggest thing, again, the most important thing is you want to think about how you're building a city. You want to make it where it's pre-planned and thought out. You don't just want to build everywhere, and you don't want to build everything so close together. You'll notice that a lot of my city is open. I have lots of fountains, lots of plazas. This is more realistic. When you cluster everything together, you don't get this right here. These nice skylines where everything's in different directions. Oh God, just can never get over that hill. But you don't get the beautiful skylines when you cluster everything together. It just looks this huge jumbled mass of buildings. Things were open just like they are in cities today. Well, hopefully this has helped you out, giving you some pointers. I talked a lot of smack about people's cities, but as you can see, I wasn't kidding. I really went above and beyond what most people are doing on their cities by building up more beautification, extensive road systems, and of course pre-planning and thinking my city out long before I build it. Alright, and you'll see on another episode of Building an Epic City. The next one will be Tarraco.